Look, let me guess. It's the end of the month. Your paycheck just hit your account. You feel relieved for about maybe 20 minutes. Then the rent clears. The credit card payment hits, groceries, gas, subscriptions you forgot you even had, and suddenly you're back at zero. Again. If you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, I work hard, so why does it still feel like I'm barely surviving? Yeah, that's literally most people. Here's the thing. That feeling has almost nothing to do with how much money you make, and everything to do with the first $1,000. Now, I know that sounds dramatic. $1,000 doesn't buy you freedom. It doesn't make you rich. It won't change your lifestyle. But it will change how your brain works around money. My name is Sean, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people struggle with money, even when they're doing everything right. If you're someone who feels stuck at zero no matter how hard you work, make sure to subscribe. We're going to fix that. All right, let's talk about what's really going on. The lie most people believe about money. Most people think wealth starts when you earn more. Get a raise. Get a better job. Side hustle your way out. And look, income matters. I'm not denying that. But here's what most people don't realize. If you don't change how you handle money at zero, more money just gives you bigger problems. That's not opinion. That's data. The Federal Reserve found that 4 in 10 adults can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. Let that sink in. Not $4,000? Not $40,000. $400. That tells you this isn't an income problem, it's a system problem. Why the first $1,000 feels impossible. Saving your first $1,000 feels brutal. Not a little uncomfortable, not kind of hard. Brutal, because at the beginning, money is already spoken for before it arrives. Your brain doesn't see dollars as tools, it sees them as firefighters. Every dollar has a job putting out a fire. Rent fire, debt fire, unexpected expense fire. So when someone says, just save $1,000, your brain hears, create an extra $1,000 out of thin air. That's why this stage feels hopeless. And this is where psychology matters. Survival mode versus control mode. When you have no buffer, your brain stays in survival mode. In survival mode, you think short-term. You prioritize relief over progress. You make reactive decisions. And when the brain is in survival mode, it literally cannot plan long-term. This is why budgeting advice fails so many people early on. You can't optimize a system you're barely surviving inside of. That's why the first $1,000 matters. Not because of what it buys, but because of what it unlocks mentally. Let me show you this with real numbers. Imagine this. Your car needs a $400 repair. Scenario 1. You have $0 saved. That repair feels catastrophic. Heart rate up. Stress all day. You're doing mental gymnastics trying to decide which bill gets delayed. You probably swipe a credit card at 20% interest because you don't really have a choice. Scenario 2. You have $1,000 saved. Same repair. Same $400. Now you're annoyed, but calm. You move the money, fix the problem, and your life continues. Same expense. Same math. Completely different experience. That's the buffer effect. The buffer is what changes everything. The first $1,000 creates a buffer between you and chaos. That buffer does 3 critical things. It slows your decisions down. It reduces emotional spending. It proves you can save. That third one is massive. Because most people don't fail financially because they're bad at math. They fail because they believe a story about themselves. This is really about identity. Before saving $1,000, most people see themselves as, I'm just bad with money. After saving it, even quietly, that story cracks. Now the identity becomes, I'm someone who can save. That's dangerous, in a good way. Because once your identity shifts, behavior follows. You don't need motivation. You don't need willpower. You build systems. And systems beat motivation every single time. Now, you might be thinking, okay, sure, $1,000 helps, but $10,000 is the real goal. Here's what's interesting. The next $10,000 is easier, not because it's smaller, but because the habits are already built. You already learned how to delay gratification, how to say no to yourself, how to prioritize future you. At that point, you're no longer guessing. You're repeating. This is why wealth looks exponential. From the outside, it seems sudden. From the inside, it feels boring. The math behind momentum. Let's keep this simple. If you save $250 per month, $1,000 takes 4 months. $10,000 takes 40 months. But psychologically, the hardest part is month 1. Once you cross the first milestone, your brain recalibrates what's normal. That's momentum. And momentum is more powerful than income in the early stages. But what if you don't make enough? I hear this all the time. And sometimes it's true. But more often the issue isn't income, it's leakage. Small leaks, subscriptions, convenience spending, lifestyle inflation. Here's a simple exercise. Track every dollar for 30 days. Not to judge yourself, just to observe. Most people find $200 to $400 they didn't realize they were spending. That's your $1,000 over time. How to actually start. Let's make this practical. First, stop trying to be perfect. Perfection delays progress. Second, set a single target, $1,000. Nothing else, not investing, not net worth, not passive income, just the buffer. Third, automate whatever you can, even $25 per paycheck. Consistency beats intensity. Why this changes your future. Once you have a buffer, emergencies stop feeling like disasters. Debt becomes manageable. Investing becomes possible. The first $1,000 isn't the end goal. It's the doorway. Final thought. This video isn't really about money. It's about control. If you're watching this and you're still at 0, you're not behind. You're early. And once you cross that first line, your financial life stops feeling fragile and starts feeling intentional. If this helped you see money differently, subscribe to the channel. We explain money clearly, without hype, so you can build a future that actually works. I'll see you in the next one.